Hello, this is Greg Herrman with Herrman Herrman Law Firm. Today we're going to go over just a couple tips to help you when you decide to add your teen to your auto insurance. Um, to begin with, way before you add them to your insurance, take him out and make sure he knows how to drive. Hopefully he's been to driver's ed, but you need to get in the car with him and just drive around with him and make sure he stops at all stop signs. Make sure they're not rolling stops. Make sure he, checks all his rear view mirrors and side mirrors, and make sure he knows how to merge with traffic. Just everything that you do on a daily basis. It's not instinctual. It's something that you learn over time. So just take your teen out and make sure that they know how to drive, and show them all the little tips and tricks that you've learned over the years. Um, the next thing is insurance companies do offer tracking apps where they will keep track of mileage and brake pressure and speed, and the time of day your teenager's driving. And they have apps, and you can get things installed on your cars where you can know exactly where your child is at all the time. You know how fast they're driving. You know how fast they're applying the brakes. Are they frequently slamming the brakes on? Are they speeding? Um, what's going on, because we all know teenagers text and drive, and it's not if, it's when they're going to cause an accident, uh, by texting and driving or checking social media or doing something like that. So especially if they get a bunch of their friends in the car, they may be a great driver just by themselves, but even then, it seems like most teenagers still text and drive and still uh, check their social media, or watch a YouTube video while they're driving. But it gets even worse when they get their friends in the car. So uh, get an insurance tracking app and just check on them, and bring your kid in and tell them, hey, you're a horrible driver. Uh, I'm yanking the car from you. Until we can get your driving under control. Um, Another thing that's really important is you should know what kind of coverages you've got. I've covered in some other videos that I've gone through the Texas standard insurance policy, what's covered, what the 30, 60, 25 is about. I've covered coverages, I've covered PIP coverages, comprehensive and collision. Um, if you're unsure about what kind of coverage you've got, bring your policy in. You don't even need to bring the whole policy in. Just bring in your what we call a deck sheet or deck page. It's your declarations sheet. There'll be a sheet where they list all your coverages. Just bring it into Herman Herman, any Herman Herman office, and one of our attorneys will go over it with you. Um, Probably a good idea to do before you have your teens start driving. And you may want to talk to your agent about whether it'd be cheaper to have your teenager have his own policy or to add him to your policy. And it may depend on what vehicle he's driving too. Lastly, there's lots of discounts insurance companies will give you. One of them is if your child gets good grades. I guess they just figured that a teenager that gets good grades is more conscientious, and so they're going to be, more respectful to other people on the road. They're less likely to drag race. They're less likely to run stoplights, stop signs, and speed, things like that. But, just inquire with your insurance company on any kind of discounts that are available. Um, they also have things called driver experience logs, and if you can show your insurance company a logbook of all the times you've been out with your child driving, and they see that you spent a whole bunch of time with your child teaching them how to drive, teaching them how to merge, teaching them how to look in the rear view mirrors, how to back up, how to parallel park, just all the things that we all learn. If you can take that logbook in and show it to your insurance company, they're more likely to see if they can't give you a discount for that. Um, and lastly, there's something they call insurance friendly cars. There's some cars that insurance companies just deem, well, some cars are just safer because they protect the occupants better. There's less chance of you getting injured. There's other cars that, it seems like what insurance companies care more about is property damage. And there's some cars that just hold up better in accidents, either because the bumper's all rubber and it bounces back real easily and doesn't hardly show any damage. Or whatever. There's just numerous ways that insurance companies look at cars, and with those you just check with your insurance company, and they'll give you the list of cars that they view as insurance friendly. And so, especially if your teen's going to get his own car, it might save you quite a bit of money to get an insurance friendly vehicle. So just to sum up real quick, know all your coverages. Make sure you teach your kid how to drive. Keep a logbook showing that you've, spent a bunch of time with your driver, and that he knows how to drive. Maybe get an insurance tracking app to keep track of speed and mileage and driving time of day and brake pressure, things like that. And then lastly, just look for discounts for a driver-friendly car, for good grades, for driver experience. And finally, bring your declaration page into Herrman Herrman to any of our offices, and one of our lawyers will go over the declaration page with you to explain what some of these coverages are, because a lot of people don't even understand what insurance they have. So bring your policy in, and we'll explain it to you. So that's all for today. Thanks.